Okay, crazies, this is our last one for this week, so we are gonna be doing, we skipped 18.3, so we're gonna be doing 18.4, which is distance, rate, and time. So we're still working with those fractions and the multiplying and dividing in the same way. But for this case, we're really only gonna be doing if you're running or driving or working with any distance. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is our main formula. So our main formula is distance is gonna equal your rate times your time, okay? Distance is gonna equal your rate times your time. So I can figure out how far I go if I know how fast I went and how long it took me to get there. That's gonna give me my distance. So how fast I went, that's my rate. How long it took me to get there, I multiply those two together and that's gonna give me how far I went. Now, our label for distance is never gonna be minutes or hours. How far away do I live? 5 hours. You can say that it takes 5 hours to get there. That's the time, but that's not gonna be a distance. Distance would be in measurements of distance. So feet, inches, miles, meters, something along those lines. And your rate is gonna be like what we did in the last lesson, where it's miles per minute, or it's meters per second. You're gonna have two labels when it comes to the rate. And then your time is gonna be in measurements of time, minutes, hours, days, months, whatever it is, okay? So distance is gonna equal our rate times our time. What if we have distance and we have time, but we don't have rate? So we just flip these around. So I'm gonna show you the three formulas we're gonna use today. If I need to know my rate, that's gonna equal the distance divided by the time, okay? The distance divided by the time. And then, if I have the distance and the rate, and I need to know how long it took me, that's distance divided by rate is gonna give me the time. So if I'm looking for the distance and I have rate and time, I'm gonna multiply them. If I have distance and time, I divide distance divided by time is gonna give me my rate. If I need to find the time, I go distance divided by rate, and that's gonna give me the time, okay? And again, remember your labels need to make sense. So let's go ahead and look at the beginning of 18.4. I'm gonna turn the page here. So 18.4, let's say I don't have the distance. That's what I'm looking for. My distance equals a blank. But I know that my rate is 38 miles per hour, and my time is gonna have to be in hours because I have miles per hour there. So let's look at this first. If I have my rate and my time, the formula I'm gonna use here is distance equals rate times time. That means I'm gonna multiply these two numbers together. But before I do that, I wanna look at what would make sense for my label. If I have hours here and my rate is miles per hour, my distance would be in miles. That right there is gonna help me out so that I know what I'm doing, okay? Miles makes sense as a label for distance. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say 38 times 4.6. Again, I probably don't know this off the top of my head. I don't expect you to, but that's why we have these handy dandy little devices. So 38 times 4.6 is gonna give me 174.8. Now, the directions do not say to round to the nearest whole number. So give it like it is. It does not say to round. Do not round unless it tells you to, okay? Let's go ahead and look at number 2. Number 2, it gives me the distance equals 26 yards. I don't know the rate, and the time equals 4 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that formula that the rate, because that's what I need to find, is gonna equal the distance divided by the time. Okay, the distance divided by the time. So I'm gonna take the information that I have and we'll make it work. So I'm gonna say 26 divided by 4. Those are the two numbers that I have. Okay, distance divided by time. Now my rate is the one measurement that uses both labels. So my label for this would be yards per minute, yards per minute. And again, I don't know this off the top of my head. I can figure it out. I bet it's 6.5, but let's double check. 26 divided by 4 equals 6.5. And it's okay to give me 6.5, because for this case, I know you're using a calculator, that's okay. Go ahead and divide it properly. 26 divided by 4, I get 6.5, and my label would be yards per minute. Okay, let's try number 3 together. Number 3, the distance equals 72 feet. My rate equals 12 feet per minute, and I don't know the time. If I don't know the time, then I'm going to use this formula. Time is going to equal distance divided by rate, okay? So we gave those 3 formulas at the beginning. So distance is going to equal rate times time. Rate equals distance divided by time. And time is going to equal distance divided by rate. So we want to use all of those properly. Whatever I don't have, that's the one that I want by itself on the one side of the equal sign. That's the formula I'm going to use. So in this case, I'm going to say 72 divided by 12, because that's my distance divided by my rate. 72 divided by 12, I know is 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put that answer there, 6. I have feet here, I have feet per minute here, and this is time. So the one label that makes the most sense for time is minutes. So my answer here is going to be 6 minutes. Okay? We'll go ahead and do number 4 together, and then I'm going to set you free. So number 4 says distance equals, I don't know. My rate equals 58 kilometers per hour. And then time is going to equal 6.5 hours. Now, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what formula do I need. The D, the distance is the one that I don't have, so that's the one that I want by itself on the left-hand side of the fraction. So distance equals rate times time. So that means I'm going to multiply the rate and the time together. So I'm going to say 58, and I'm going to go ahead and make this, because I can, and because I'm probably going to be using my fraction, I'm going to make it 6.5, which is the same thing as 6 1/2. So I'm going to say 6.5 times 58 equals 377, okay? So my answer here is going to be 377. I'm not done yet because I don't have a label. So I'm going to go ahead and see what makes the most sense. This is hours, this is kilometers per hour. So if I'm looking at what is my distance, that's where I'm going to use this kilometers. So it's 377 kilometers. Now everything should be used. I have kilometers, I have hours, I have kilometers per hour, okay? So hopefully this is working for you. Again, ask questions as we get to it so that we can do this together. And what I'm going to ask you to do is the PW side, numbers 1 through 12 all. I'd like you to write on the top of that. I know you have the formula written there, D equals RT, or R times T, but I want you to write the ones that you don't have. How do you find the rate, or the rate? How do I find the time? What can I use to figure those things out? And then make it easy for yourself and go through and find your labels first, and then you can do the work, okay? Let me know if you have questions. Hopefully this helps. Have a great day.